We are happy to present you about school community partnership to promote literacy. We are focusing on the unit of school leadership and management component, where we want to share with you about our approach, best practices, challenges, and the strategies we use to overcome the challenge. In this presentation, we will be the outline of the presentation. We will be focusing on introduction and background of Mureke Dusome project. Mureke Dusome is school leadership and management, which is SLM components, activities and approach we use, best practices, what is working well and why. Then we'll come up with challenges we are facing and how we are overcoming the challenges.
Apologies, everyone. I think we seem to have lost connection with our colleagues in Rwanda. Solange and Providence, can you hear us? We don't seem to be able to hear you.
In this presentation, we'll be introducing about the Mureke Dusome project. Then we'll talk also about the Mureke Dusome school leadership and management, its components, the approaches we are using, best practices, what is working and why. Then we'll come up with the challenges and the strategies we are using to overcome the challenge. Then we will also have the questions and answers. Please, we ask you to ask questions and we'll be happy to answer them. Mureke Dusome is a Kinyarwanda name, which means in English, let's read. It's a 4-year USAID-funded project. We started in January 2016. We phased out in September 2019. It's being implemented by Save the Children Rwanda in partnership with Ministry of Education and the Rwanda Education Board. So the Ministry of Education under its board called the Rwanda Education oversight the result and the quality of programming. Then on the side of Save the Children, we are providing the overall strategic project leadership and management as well as administration. We are also working with partners. We have Umuhuza, which is a local NGO that supports in community and parental involvement in literacy through community reading clubs and community literacy volunteers who are supporting reading clubs. We have also another partner called Urunana Development Communication. It's a local popular radio soap opera that is helping to spread literacy messages. We have also another called the Rwamurek, which is also a local NGO with expertise in gender-sensitive programming that is helping to ensure that whatever we are doing is gender sensitive. So
So, Solange, shall we just read out the question? So before we move forward with the presentation, we thought it would be useful to have your views of how important do you think the role of the head teacher or principal is in promoting children's learning and literacy? So if you could just respond to this poll question by selecting an answer on the screen, and this will be very useful to help inform the webinar today. And if you're using a Mac or you're joining us online and you may not be able to see the poll, if you want to just answer using the comment by commenting in the chat box, that's also fine. And we'll just wait a few more minutes, and then Solange, should we move on to the next question? So I'll just wait for a few more people to respond. See, we have lots of people on the call today. Okay, and I think we'll just move on now to the second question. So, how important, how about parent leaders? How important are parent leaders? How important is the role of parent leaders in promoting a school culture of learning and literacy? And perhaps Solange, if you'd like to speak in a bit more detail about PTC leaders, PTA leaders, and SGAC, and if perhaps explain the difference between those a little would be helpful. Solange, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. We have the term SGAC, which stands for School General Assembly Committee. Then you have the term PTA, Parents Teacher Association. Then you have PTC, Parent Teacher Committee Leaders. So for instance, in our country, in Rwanda, those three terms are quite similar. We used to say PTC, Parents Teacher Committee, but now we are saying School General Assembly Committee. So it's a committee that represents all parents who have children at a school. Then a PTA is the Parents Teacher Association. In the other countries, we find that they call it PTA, Parents Teacher Association. Then its committee is called Parents Teacher Committee. So those are the leaders who are leading associations of parents. So we are asking how important is their role in promoting a culture of learning and literacy.
Wonderful. No, that's really helpful to understand the difference between those different groups in Rwanda, and it would be really interesting to hear, if in other countries you have similar groups, how they might be different and what their role is in promoting school cultures of learning and of literacy. So thanks for your responses. Solange, I'll just go back to the presentation and hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Anya. So thank you for the responses. I can see 100% of responses saying that head teachers really play a big role in promoting children's literacy. They are really the first person to influence the change, to inspire others, to inspire people whom they are working together at school, as well as inspiring parents through school general assembly committees, as we said. Then I saw the responses on how important School General Assembly Committee or Parent-Teacher Committee can play a role in promoting children's literacy or being as a driver in promoting children's literacy. So I saw the response of 60% of people who strongly agree that those committees are really the key persons to support in promoting children's literacy. Then somehow I saw 40%. But what we can say really is that school leadership, as well as those parents in the school general assembly committees, they really play a big role, because the SGSs, they are elected by parents. The parents, they trust them and they are expecting from them to support them, to tell them in what they can do to promote children's learning, including literacy. So in Rwanda, in Mureke Dusome's theory of change, we really think that if children are in a supportive community and home learning environment, which with the necessary time, materials, and support outside of the school to practice reading, then the literacy outcomes will improve. So here we really bring in this importance of having school general assembly committee on board, so that they really engage parents, that they provide time, they provide materials to children, they really support children even outside of school, because children here in Rwanda, when we compare the time of children, the time children spend at school and the time they spend at home, we have really many hours children they spend at home. So we really focus on how we can really use those school general assembly committees to ensure that they engage, they motivate parents to support children's literacy. So we hope we will have that improved literacy outcome for children in the primary grades when there is access to high quality, age appropriate books in the community libraries. Then, although the materials for reading can be available in the communities, we also believe that the increased capacity of school leadership to promote learning through school community partnerships will also be a key thing in improving children's literacy outcomes. We also, the improved literacy outcomes will depend also on increased community and parental involvement to support reading activities. And that's where we said the role of SGSC, School General Assembly Committee, to come in, where parents and the community are mobilized to support children's literacy. So we can reach this if there is a strong collaboration between school and the community. That's why in our presentation we will be focusing on this increased capacity of school leadership to improve learning through school community partnerships. In the other presentations, which will come in the future, we will also focus on other units, book development and use, where it leads us on access of high quality and age appropriate books in the community libraries. Then we also talk on community engagement. Will also come in the future presentation, where we'll talk on how the increased community and parental involvement to support reading activities led to improved literacy outcomes. Then coming on our today's focus, school leadership and management. Anya, could you please put the next slide? Anya, please. Next, please.
Oh, hi Solange, which slide would you like?
The next slide, school leadership and management components, slide 6.
So it's on slide 6 at the moment.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So the objective of in Mureke Dusome, they strengthen the capacity of school leadership to promote school community partnerships and improve student literacy is the objective number 1. Under this objective, we have different activities. The first key activity is developing training materials. In this developing training materials, we worked with Rwanda Education Board to develop Rwanda National Parent School Partnership Standards. In the Rwandan context, we define what school community partnership means in the Rwandan context and what the roles and responsibilities school leaders, parents, and the wider community. This standard will also serve as a framework for the trainings the project will roll out to school and parents leaders together with REB. So maybe I can talk a little bit on how we developed this Rwanda National Parent School Partnership Standard. Before the development, we mapped the existing resources on parent-school partnership. Then we went on field to meet beneficiaries to identify their needs, what they have already, and what is the gap. After collecting all those information, we really worked hand in hand with Rwanda Education Board to see what is really missing, what is existing and what is missing, and what we can do to complement what is already in place. So we together with Rwanda Education Board, we have identified that there is a need to have standards on how school and the community can have a partnership in terms of promoting children's education and mainly focusing on literacy. Although we focus on literacy, but Rwanda Education Board said this is a great opportunity where we can also bring in all components regarding on how parents and the school can collaborate to promote children's learning. So that's how we started developing those Rwanda National Parent School Partnerships Standard for education, although in all examples, it's always coming examples focusing on literacy. Next slide. Anya, next slide.
Oh, Solange, the view has now been changed. Hopefully you can see slide 7. everyone. I think unfortunately our colleagues in Rwanda have some connection issues, so we'll just wait a couple of seconds to see if they reconnect. Hopefully they can. Thanks.
So while developing the standards, we adapted the international best practices to the Rwandan context. So EBSEN is a framework on parental involvement informed us on the initial draft of the standard. So that model has the 6 key areas, which are parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision making, and collaborating with the wider community. So we frame school leadership and management leading the process. The standards were reworked to reflect the realities of school community partnership in Rwanda, so including an examination of school leadership strength and the capacity gaps, parental practices, Rwandan culture, community dynamics and opportunities, our education system, gender and inclusion issues, as well as the policy landscape. Next slide. So when adapting to EBSEN's framework to Rwandan context, we came up also with 6 standards. The standard 1 is sharing responsibility. Standard 2, active participation, the school life. Standard 3, communicating effectively. Standard 4, supporting learning. Standard 5, ensuring equity and inclusion. Standard 6, collaborating with the wider community. Then on the standard 1, sharing responsibility, we want to see how the school general assembly, in other term, what we call Parents-Teacher Association, plays a role in creating policies, practices, and programs that continuously improve their school. So that's really the outcome we want to see on this standard 1 of sharing responsibility. We want all parents to have really a role to participate in whatever plan that is being done in school to support children's learning. Then on the standard 2, which is active participation in the school life, we want really to see the school which is a welcoming environment whereby school leadership and teachers value and understand the important role of parents in children's educational success. We really want to see parents who are active within the school activities, but also the school that is really welcoming parents to come in to have a mind that parents are also part of the school life. They can come and work together with other members of the school to support children's learning so that we reach on children's educational success. Then the standard 3, which is communicating effectively, we want really to see parents and school staff engaged in regular, meaningful communication about children's learning and well-being. How parents and the school are communicating on a regular basis about children's learning. Then on standard 4, which is supporting learning, we really want to see parents and the school staff continuously collaborate to support children's academic progress, both in the classroom and at home. So here it comes again the role of parents, where we really want parents to ensure that children, yes, they are in school learning, but also when they reach at home, they get the opportunity to learn, to revise their lessons, to practice reading at home. We want to see the parents coming at school, visit their children, see how children are doing in the classroom, see how they are reading with others in the classroom, meet the class teacher, discuss with him or her on how the child is improving and how the parent can continuously support the child to achieve the learning outcome. Then on the standard 5, ensuring equity and inclusion, we really want to see to have parents and the school staff actively promote the needs of all children and ensure equity in relation to gender, disability, and family background. So we really want to see how all children can really taken into consideration so that they reach learning outcomes. Then on standard 6, collaborating with the wider community, parents and the school leadership, how cultivate positive relationship with other existing services within the school community and work together to support school improvement. So we really want to see the change where the school is not like an island standing somewhere. We want to see how the community is getting any benefit from the school, how the community is benefiting from the neighboring school, and how the school is also benefiting from the neighboring community in terms of promoting children's learning, how the community, surrounding community and the school are really exchanging resources in terms of promoting children's learning. Next slide. Then let me hand over the speech to my colleague Providence so that she continues with the second key activity of school leadership.
Hi everyone. I'm taking over to talk about the next activity. That is the trainings.
Providence. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but could you turn off one of the microphones in your room so there's just one microphone? Because I think the audience can hear some playback. Thank you very much.
Sorry, is it now?
Yeah, if you can just ensure there's only one microphone on, that might help with the sound.
Thank you. Yeah, I was saying I'm going to the next activity, that is trainings. Solange was talking about the development of the Rwanda National Private School Partnership Standards. And from there, we developed a toolkit for trainings, and we do it as a blended approach which involves a self-study and a face-to-face. In the self-study, there are these training modules that are developed. We give these self-study modules to education officials, teachers, the School General Assembly Committee members for their self-study, but they have also a face-to-face. As you can see on the picture, there is a head teacher, there are 3 people, a head teacher, PTC president or SGSC president and SGSC vice president discussing on a particular module in their school. I go directly into how we do that, these trainings. We have developed a toolkit of 6 self-study modules that correspond to the 6 Rwanda National Public School Partnerships Solange mentioned earlier. And what we do is that we train the sector education officers. We orient them on using this self-study toolkit. Train them as a TOT, like training of trainers. These sector education officers, they go and offer a face-to-face training to head teachers or school leaders and the PTC members. The face-to-face training is done only on module 1 of the 6 modules. Then after that, beneficiaries or the head teachers and the PTC members, they meet monthly to run other modules at school level. And the way the modules are developed, they provide content for reflection. Like the participants get together, like the head teacher, the president and vice president of School General Assembly Committee, they get together, they read, they discuss, they respond to questions in provided spaces, and yeah, that's how they run at their school level. Then each module has its monthly assignment that relates to the promotion of literacy. Like it guides them on improving their practices related to literacy. I'm saying it's a monthly assignment because they have like these 6 modules are to be taken or completed in 6 months, 1 module in a month until they complete the 6 modules, and at each month or at end of each module they will have an assignment they have to work on or in that particular month. There are also the sector education officers. They call these head teachers and School General Assembly Committee members to meet at sector level after completing like at least 2 modules to share what they learned, to share they have been implementing activities and what did they learn, how are they promoting literacy in their school as part of the assignment. And these sector education officers are also responsible to follow up and monitor the completion of the training and also to monitor how these school leaders and School General Assembly Committee members perform on their assignments or how they are improving the practices related to promoting literacy. Yeah. As we go to the next slide, here is a snapshot of a self-study toolkit. It's a page that we took from the toolkit. It shows how it provides content for reflection. and provide some space for participants to write some content, discuss. It also provides some spaces for self-evaluation, like what have we been doing in relation to a particular aspect we want to promote in relation to literacy. But also it shows that there is some space we provide and we add an additional content. Like if you can see in this presentation, I'm not sure if you can read, but there's somewhere we are writing parents with disabilities can face unique challenges and require additional support to ensure they are able to participate. This is something like a content we want them to focus on when they are discussing their ideas, when they are reflecting. We want them to focus on a particular message and we put it on the side like as a bubble, so they focus, or as they discuss, they keep in mind of this particular message. Here we are focusing on ensuring that there is equity and there is disability, there is inclusion. Like when they reflect also on those aspects. 12 shows a picture of like a follow-up meeting at sector level. This time they had met after completing 2 sessions or 2 modules, and they were sharing. A participant is standing in front of others to share what they have learned, what they have implemented in their particular school. So this time, the SEO calls the head teachers, school general assembly committee members from different schools, and they meet in one place. It's generally like 4 to 5 schools coming together and learn from each other. Quickly on slide 13, we are sharing the best practice, what works in material design, and we will talk about the best practices in trainings. So what we found as a best practice is that investing in securing government ownership was helpful because in starting with the development of the Rwanda National Parent School Partnership and the standards and this toolkit, we worked closely with education officials at different levels. We worked with Rwanda Education Board. We worked with education officials at district and sector levels, and they were all involved in developing and inputting in this toolkit. So that it made easier the endorsement of this toolkit by Rwanda Education Board as a government institution, and it helps for this toolkit to be used at different levels. Another best practice was the work with the local gender specialized NGO, the Mureke, which focuses on positive men's engagement. So having Mureke participating in the materials development, it helped to have this aspect ensured. The gender equity and was culturally and contextualized in the toolkit. Another aspect is the collaborative design of the Parent School Partnership for Education toolkit. The way it is designed, it provides space, it provides an opportunity for these 3 people, the head teacher, the school general assembly committee president and vice president, to come together discuss their own issues, discuss the specific issues related to their school community, then they agree on actions. So the way the toolkit is designed, it provides a room for these beneficiaries to collaborate, to discuss, to meet regularly. Yeah, that is very key to the success. Again, the longer time frames for this self-study approach, like as we said, the 6 modules they have to complete on a period of 6 months, which can even go beyond that period depending on schedules they already have. But having that time frame which is longer, instead of having them coming together for 5 days training, we are saying this longer period helps them to continuously evaluate their progress and plan actions, and as they plan actions after a month they meet and they evaluate their progress. So it's giving them the time to build their relations and the way they collaborate. Other best practices relates to the training rollout. These cascade models were very helpful in our case because Mureke Dusome, it's a project with very few staff, but with the rollout, it was easier to get to everyone and with few staff, because the project is being implemented at the national scale in all districts, reaching all school communities. So it's not very easy, but with this cascade training rollout, it was easier to get to these schools easily. So the effective strategies included the additional peer learning opportunities to allow more exchange, as I said. We also did a collaboration with other NGOs, non-government organizations, to see how the content of the toolkit can be incorporated in their training manuals. Also, the involvement of government authorities at national, district, and sector levels contribute to prioritization of the school leadership and management approach. We also partnered with faith-based organizations, to see these, the rollout of these content and messages. There is a memorandum of understanding with the Catholic Church, which has a big number of schools in the country. So we having this MOU, it secures messaging at a bigger scale than relying on messages that are provided by only staff. Maybe my colleague can come in again to talk a bit about the challenges we met and how we overcame them. Thank you.
So we have only 2 minutes left, so we can say a few challenges. So although we are saying head teachers and SGSs are improving their practices to involve and engage parents, but still we need to have more parents who are supporting, especially parents who really care to volunteer to support children's literacy, attendance in school general assembly meetings, engage with teachers to visit children's at school to see how they are doing at school. Then to address this challenge, we are working we have a comprehensive social behavior change communication strategy where we made ideas on how parents can really support and its importance on the outcome of children's learning. So we pass the messages in the Urunana radio soap operas. We do different campaigns. Another challenge is that some education officers and school leaders do not prioritize the follow-up of children's community literacy activities like reading clubs. So to overcome this challenge, we worked with Rwanda Education Board to engage education officers in their, so that they ensure that in their responsibilities they do follow up also on the reading the literacy activities. So Rwanda Education Board provided the guideline to the education officials on the supporting of literacy activities within the community, mainly reading clubs. So question and challenges. Maybe we can go on question and challenges as we still have only 2 minutes left. Any question? Any question? So if there is no question, maybe Anya, would you help to put the reflection question?
Sure, I'll just open that up now. Just bear with me a second. So overall, I found the information presented in today's event informative and relevant to my work. So do you strongly agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly disagree? No, sorry to hear that you couldn't unmute yourself. I can just unmute you now because all the audience were on mute. Yep, I've now unmuted you, so I think you should be able to speak. Can you try now? And just while we wait, if everyone, we'd really appreciate if you can vote in the poll that you see on the screen in front of you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you for organizing this session. It's very nice to see what's going on in different countries. But in our country in Ethiopia, we have 2 platforms whereby community education participation are shared. The first one is training education training board, whereby the distance level there is education and training board, and then at school level there is parent teacher student association. Previously it was used to be parent teacher association, but recently in order to enhance children's participation in education, it includes mostly at the upper primary students. I think there is 2.
Okay, no, sorry about that. I think that the line is a little bit unclear, so I'm afraid we couldn't hear your question. But if you just want to type it in the chat box, and I'm sure Solange and Providence will be able to follow up with you after this call. So Solange, Providence, I think we're at time now. So shall I just hand it over to you to wrap up? Solange, are you there? Okay, so I think we may have lost them again. So thank you so much for your patience today. Well, we've been experiencing some technical issues, but thank you all for joining us. And we hope you found this useful, and we'll be sharing the recording and the slides after this webinar. So
yeah, thank you everyone. We
Thanks,
have really enjoyed to be with you in this presentation.